Hello everyone, welcome back to your own channel Our Past by Priya Ghat. Today's video is part 3 of the series Advent of the Europeans in India. In this video, we are going to learn about the French and the Danes in India. Dear learners, if you want to learn about the arrival of the Portuguese, the Dutch and the English in India, please go to the description box and click on the link of the videos. This is part 3 of the series Advent of the Europeans in India. So let's continue. Friends, what are we going to learn after we watch the video? We are going to know about the French East India Company, French centers in India, nerve center of the French East India Company, Carnetic Wars, dupleix, reasons behind the French failure, the Danes in India, and the causes for the English success over all the European companies. So we are going to learn about these very important things in today's video. Well friends, let's see about the foundation of French centers in India. Well, on the screen you can see French flag. French were the last Europeans to come to India. During the reign of Louis XIV, the king's famous minister Colbert laid the foundation of the Compagnie des Indes Orientales, that is French East India Company, in the year 1664. A 50-year monopoly in trade in the Indian and Pacific Ocean, island of Madagascar and any other territories it could conquer was provided to the French East India Company. So friends, let's continue. Well, foundation of French centers in India. In the year 1667, Franco headed an expedition to India, setting up a factory in India. In the year 1669, Markara, a Persian who accompanied Karen, founded another French factory in Masulipatam after obtaining a patent from the Sultan of Golconda. Obtained permission from Shaista Khan, the Mughal Subedar of Bengal, to establish a township at Chandernagore near Calcutta. So these were their earlier trade centers, Masulipatam and Chandernagore. Well, let's learn about the nerve center of French power in India, that is Pondicherry. Well, it is located in Tamil Nadu. In the year 1673, Sher Khan Lodi, the governor of Valikondapuram, which was under the Bijapur Sultan, granted Francois Martin, the director of Masulipatam factory, a site for settlement. He founded Pondicherry, the future capital of French India, in the year 1674. Well, friends, in Pondicherry, even today, the French influence can be seen. So in the year 1674, he founded Pondicherry as the future capital of French in India. Francois Martin replaced Francois Caron as the French governor, and important trading centers of the French East India Company were coastal regions in Mahe, Karaikal, Balasore and Kasim Bazar. So this is about their important nerve center, that is Pondicherry. Well friends, let's see about the early setbacks of the French East India Company. Well, they were badly affected with the outbreak of war between the Dutch and the French, bolstered by their alliance with the English. Since the Revolution of 1688, the Dutch captured Pondicherry in 1693. which was a very important center for these French. And according to the Treaty of Ryswick in the year 1697, Pondicherry came back to the French. Under Francois Martin's able guidance, Pondicherry flourished out to be the most important settlement of French in India. Well, it was under Francois Martin's guidance who had replaced Francois Caron. Again, a battle in the fortunes of French East India Company came when the War of Spanish Succession broke out in Europe. Well, these European countries were fighting in Europe and the influence could be seen in India. Consequently, they had to abandon their factories at Surat, Masulipatam and Bantam in the early 18th century. And another setback was death of Francois Martin on December 31st, 1706. Well, let's see about the reorganization of the French company. In the year 1720, the French company was reorganized as the Perpetual Company of the Indies, which revived its strength. This was further enhanced by the stewardship of two active and wise governors held their post from 1720 to 1742. These were Lenoir and Damas. So these were two important and two active and wise governors which helped the French East India Company to flourish again. Further, the French India was backed by the French possession of Mauritius and reunion in the southern Indian Ocean, where it was also a colony of this French East India Company. Well, struggle for supremacy, the Carnetic Wars. The Carnetic Wars are very important topic in the history of advent, arrival and expansion of European powers in India. It was basically fought between two European powers, the British and the French. Three Carnetic Wars took place. Let's learn about them one by one. Well, Carnetic Wars were a series of military conflicts in the middle of the 18th century. They were fought between the British, the French, the Marathas and Mysore for control of the coastal strip of eastern India from Nellore, that is north of Madras, towards southward, that is the Tamil country. So, Carnatic is a region which falls from Nellore, that is north of Madras, towards the south, and that is this Tamil country which lies in the eastern coast of India. And the name Carnatic properly refers to the region occupied by the Kannada speaking people, which roughly corresponds to the modern Indian states of Karnataka. So, by name, which was formerly Mysore. So, by name, it refers to the Kannada speaking people. But this region, the Carnatic region, it was from Nellore towards the south in Tamil Nadu. That was the Carnatic area. And in the 18th century, the coastal Carnatic was a dependency of Hyderabad within the Mughal Empire. Well, friends, three Carnatic Wars were fought between 1746 and 1763. The first Carnatic War was fought from 1746 to 1748. Second was fought between 1749 to 1754. And third was fought from 1756 to 1763. Let's learn in detail about these Carnatic Wars, the reason behind these Carnatic Wars and the result that came after the wars. Well, background. The Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb died in 1707, and after the death of Aurangzeb, the power of Mughal Empire in India started declining. Aurangzeb was succeeded by Bahadur Shah I, but there was a general decline in central control over the empire during the tenure of Jahandar Shah and later emperors. Nizamul Mulk established Hyderabad as an independent kingdom. When this Mughal empire started losing its control as a single power for the country as a whole, when it started losing its control, the Nawabs tended to make separate kingdoms like Nizamul Mulk, who established Hyderabad as an independent kingdom. A power struggle ensued after his death between his son Nasir Jung and his grandson Muzaffar Jung. So, the fight took place between son and grandson the of this Nizamul Mulk, who established Hyderabad as an independent kingdom. Now, the reason behind fights were both these people, Nasir Jung and Muzaffar Jung, got support from the European powers that were the English and the French. Let's see. It came as an opportunity for the French and the English. They needed to interfere in Indian politics. When we people are not united, when unity is not there, foreign institutions, these foreigners or the external people tend to jump in, give their advices, and plan accordingly. So, this India started distributing its power among small powers, and this was the reason why the foreign powers interfered. France aided Muzaffar Jung, who was the grandson, and England aided Nasir Jung, who was son. So England was with support of the son, and France supported grandson of Nizamul Mulk, who had established Hyderabad as an independent kingdom. Several erstwhile Mughal territories were autonomous, such as the Carnetic which was ruled by Nawab Dost Ali Khan, despite being under the legal purview of Nizam of Hyderabad. So it was this Carnatic region was a kind of autonomous region, autonomous territory which was ruled by Nawab Dost Ali Khan. French and English interference included those of the affairs of Nawab. Dost Ali Khan's death, who was the Nawab of Carnatic, sparked a power struggle between his son-in-law Chandra Sahib, supported by French, and Muhammad Ali, supported by the English. So, the rulers in India were fighting with each other, and they got external support in order to get their benefits, to get their things done. They interfered in the Indian politics. Well, now it's important to learn about two important people, Joseph Francois Dupleix and Robert Clive, which we will learn one by one. A very important name in the history of French East India Company was Joseph Francois Dupleix. He was one major instigator of the Carnetic Wars, a Frenchman, Joseph Francois Dupleix. He arrived in India in the year 1715 and he became governor of the French East India Company in the year 1742. He sought to expand French influence in India, which was limited to a few trading outposts, the chief one being Pondicherry on the Coromandel coast. He organized Indian recruits under French officers, which was done for the first time. He organized Indian recruits under French officers and engaged in intrigues with local rulers to expand influence. So the picture you are seeing right now on your screen is of Joseph Francois Dupleix. Now, the another name I took was Robert Clive. he was the English. He was met by an equally, dupleix was met by an equally challenging and determined young officer from the British Army. He was Robert Clive. The picture of Robert Clive can be seen on the screen. He was the first British governor of the Bengal Presidency. He is credited along with Warren Hastings for laying the foundation of the British Empire in India. So the fight was between these two popular faces from their respective companies. Well, friends, now let's see about the First Carnetic War. The reason lies behind the 1740s War of the Austrian Succession in Europe. War of the Austrian Succession broke out in Europe. Great Britain was drawn out in Europe in 1744, opposed to France and its allies. The trading companies of both the countries maintained cordial relations in India. The trading companies had good relations in India till that time, but the circumstances in Europe influenced the relations here. Let's see. While their parent countries were bitter enemies on the European continent, French company officials were ordered to avoid conflict while British officials were not. They were notified that Royal Navy fleet was en route, so they were getting direct help from the parent country. Royal Navy was en route and it was an important weapon or an important power in the hands of the English. British initially captured a few French merchant ships. The French called for backup from as far afield as Isle de France, that is Mauritius, beginning an escalation in naval forces in the area. And in July 1746, French commander La Bourdonnais and British Admiral Edward Peyton fought an indecisive action at Negapatam. After this, the British fleet withdrew to Bengal. On 21st September 1746, the French captured the British outpost at Madras. The Madras was an important center of British and the French captured it. The French made several attempts to capture the British Fort St. David at Cuddalore. With the termination of the War of Austrian Succession in Europe, the First Carnetic War also came to an end. And Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle in the year 1748 took place. What happened after the treaty? Madras came back to British in exchange for the French fortress of Louisbourg in North America, which the British had captured. So, the French returned Madras to British, and in exchange the French fortress in North America was returned by the British, which they had captured. So that with the treaty, the First Carnetic War came to an end. Now let's learn about the Second Carnetic War, which took place between 1749 to 1754. Though a state of war did not exist in Europe, the proxy war continued in India. Side 1. Now two sides were there, side 1 and side 2. Side 1 constituted Nasir Jung, was Nizam, and his protege Muhammad Ali. Both were supported by the English. And side 2 constituted Chanda Sahib and Muzaffar Jung, who were supported by the French, were trying to be Nawab of Arcot. Muzaffar Jung and Chanda Sahib were able to capture Arcot, while Nasir Jung's subsequent death allowed Muzaffar Jung to take control of Hyderabad. Muzaffar's reign was short as he was also soon killed, and Salabat Jung became Nizam. Now, Treaty of Pondicherry took place in the year 1754, and with the Treaty of Pondicherry, the Second Carnetic War also came to an end. What happened in the Treaty of Pondicherry that occurred in the year 1754? It recognized Muhammad Ali Khan Walaza as the Nawab of the Carnatic and Charles Godet, who replaced Dupleix. And what happened to Dupleix? Dupleix died in poverty back in France. Well, in India, this talented person died in poverty in France. And now let's learn about the Third Carnetic War that was fought between 1756 and 1763. It was a deciding war after which the French were almost removed from India and the power directly went to the English. In the year 1756, outbreak of the 7 Years' War in Europe resulted in renewed conflict between the French and the British forces in India. The Third Carnetic War spread beyond southern India and entered into Bengal, where British forces captured the French settlement of Chandernagore, which is now known as Chandannagar, in the year 1757. The war was decided in the south. The British successfully defended Madras, and Sir Eyre Coote decisively defeated the French, commanded by Comte de Lally, at the Battle of Vandivash in the year 1760. So a French defeat could be seen. In the year 1761, after the Battle of Vandivash, the French capital of Pondicherry fell to the British in the year 1761. So after the Battle of Vandivash, the French capital, the Pondicherry, which was the most important center, called nerve center of the French East India Company, it fell to the British in the year 1761. Chandernagore and Pondicherry were returned to France when Treaty of Paris in the year 1763 took place. So in 1763, the Carnetic Wars came to an end. What happened after the Treaty of Paris? Chandernagore and Pondicherry, they were returned to France, allowed the French factories. So, well, by this time, the factories that were the trading post. So they allowed French factories in India, but forbade French traders from administering the factories. So they were not allowed to administer the actions going in the factories. The French agreed to support British client governments, thus ending French ambitions of an Indian empire and making the British the dominant foreign power in India. So the British were the dominant foreign power in India after the Third Carnetic War, which took place in 1763. Well, friend, what were the causes for the English success and the French failure? The causes, the reasons are many. Let's see. The first and the most important reason is the setup of the English company. The English company was a private enterprise, and it is a general phenomenon that in any private company, the workers are working hard. Can be seen today also. In any government institution, you can hear people saying that government employees are not that hard working, are not that dedicated. The same things happens years before in India, and these things happen in many places. This is basically the history which can be seen, the effects can be seen in the present also. And the fact cannot be denied that in future the same things will be seen. That's why learning history is important. Well, English company was a private enterprise. It created a sense of enthusiasm and self-confidence among the people, the company's people. It had less government control, They could took instant decisions when needed. So sometimes instant decisions are required, and if you have any external pressure or the pressure from seniors, you won't be able to take instant decisions, quick decisions that are required at that time. So they had the freedom to take instant decisions when needed. Superior navy was there, which helped to cut off the vital ceiling between the French possessions in India and France. So their superior navy helped them to cut off the vital ceiling between the French positions in India and the French. So a strategy was planned in sea also with the help of superior navy of the English. There three important places were Calcutta, Bombay and Madras. They never neglected their commercial interest. Their focus was commercial interest always, and they had less focus over the expansion of the religion. Many foreign powers came in the country with the target or with the motive of expansion of the religion or expansion of the Christianity, but the English had, they also had this zeal, but in less, but the gravity was less. They were more focused in expanding their business, in expanding their trading. So they had more commercial interests which they never neglected. They always had funds. They were funded by the parent country. They had long list of talented leaders like Sir Eyre Coote, Major Stringer Lawrence, then Robert Clive and many others. So with their dedication, the East India Company flourished. Now, on the other hand, let's see about the French company, the situation which let them go away from the country. It was basically a state concern that was controlled and regulated by the French government. So it was in control of the French government. They were hemmed in by government policies. They could not take instant decisions. They always had delays in decision making because they had to contact the government officials before taking any decision. They had no superior navy. They had only one important place or one important center in India, that was Pondicherry, and they subordinated their commercial interest to territorial ambition. Their ambition was to expand the territory and had only one talented leader, Dupleix. Others could not do much for the French East India Company. So these were the main reasons for the causes for the English success and the French failure. Well, one more company arrived in India, the last European company, the Danes or the Danish East India Company. Well, friends, whom do we call Danes or Danish? Anything related to the country Denmark or the neighboring countries. So the Danish East India Company, it was established in the year 1616, and in the year 1620 they founded a factory at Trunkbar near Tanjore. Their principal settlement was Serampur near Calcutta. This company could not do much in the history of the arrival and expansion of European powers. Their focus was also expansion of religion, and in the year 1845, the Danish factories were sold to the British government. Well, friends, let's learn about the reasons behind the English success. Though we have discussed this thing earlier in the video, but well, the topic is important, so let's discuss it again. What were the reasons behind the English success which made them in a course of time the rulers of India, and they sent other European companies back to their parent countries? Let's see. The first one lies in the structure and nature of the company. It was a private company, not in direct government control, controlled by a board of directors, while other companies like French, Portuguese were owned by state, and their nature was in many ways feudalistic. Naval superiority, which made them unique from other European powers. The Industrial Revolution that took place in Europe, their military skill and discipline. Their military skill was very different from the other European powers. The discipline which their military men show could not be seen in other European powers and the Indian powers which were ruling the country at the time. They had a very stable government. So a good relation could be seen between the English East India Company and the government. They had lesser zeal for religion, lesser zeal for expansion of religion, and their interest lied in commerce, their trade, and expansion of their commercial interest. And the main important is use of debt market. World's first central bank, the Bank of England, was established to sell government debt to the money markets on the promise of a decent return on Britain's defeating rival countries like France and Spain. So they came with new ideas like the first central bank in the world was Bank of England. Their zeal made them different from the other powers. Their zeal, their enthusiasm, their technology, their diplomacy, their flattery skills. So these were their talents which made them superior of other European powers. So friends, here the video ends and the series of arrival of European powers in India ends here. It has been made in 3 parts. So I request you all to watch all the 3 parts. I have covered every major thing in all my 3 videos. So if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment on my video, share it with all the learners around you, and subscribe to my channel, that is Our Past by Priya Jha. Thank you friends.